So, I'm gonna invite now the last speaker for today's symposium, Duk Hee Jordan, who's here in Berlin. Maybe you want to come to the stage. I don't know if you have a presentation. Ah, yeah, you have an image here. Welcome to Duk Hee Jordan, who often looks for answers and different viewpoints for man-made problems from the perspective of marine life. Duk Hee builds motorized sculptures and creates edible landscapes to open up doors to a universe where she humorously and romantically creates machines that juxtapose robotic consciousness with organic cyclic decay and life. She raises questions about agencies, which was a big topic already today between the different speeches, and shifts the focus away from humans towards the entire ecology. Today, Jordan is going to talk about an art investigation which started in 2013, 12, 13? Yeah. Ever since she visited the Dead Sea, she was interested in working with the unseen borders of Israel, the West Bank, and Jordan, as well as the ecological tragedy the Dead Sea is facing. In 50 years, it will no longer exist, warn environmentalists. Also in 2013, Jordan, Israel, and Palestine signed an agreement to build a pipeline which will carry water from the Red Sea to a desalination plant. I needed to look that up. A plant to take the salt out of the water and to the Dead Sea. Since this joint initiative is, from the point of view of the proponents, also an important step towards cooperation and peace in the Middle East, as we already heard before, they call it the Peace Canal. Duk Hee Jordan is gonna show us her perspective on it and gonna present the project that is still in preparation.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much, and thank you for moderating the symposium. You do it really well. Watched it at home, so yes, thank you. Yes, yes. This project is somehow not made yet, so I don't have like a proper presentation I can show here, but this is a part of the Dead Sea I visited the last time in 2019, and I was on traces of where's the Peace Canal, what can I see, how can I find it, what actually does it mean. And I also sent a friend over who visited Israel at that time, and she also took interviews for me and asked certain questions. So I made an interview with these people. But as I said, everything is not published yet. So I can just like talk about it, or you mainly just like explained it very well in this short sentence. So actually I don't have to say so much about it anymore. But I mean, it's very interesting because language is such a tool, or how words are used nowadays in times of political issues and political wars. So language is really like it's a strong weapon how we use certain words like the Peace Canal, because yeah, that's the Peace Canal, huh? Where you basically like show off in words to describe a certain political or social cultural issue, in like naming things. So because I don't know if the Peace Canal is a peace canal, no? I mean, also like the West Bank is occupied, then Jordanian on the other side, then we have Israel on this side. And for what? I mean, is it like for securing their own needs, securing and looking for economical like security in order to secure their land, secure their capitalism, securing their own money, securing their own lives? So who actually cares about the Dead Sea, because you have to take out um, not the Dead Sea, the Red Sea, I mean, because in order to rescue the Dead Sea, you have to basically like make a punch between the fresh water and the salt water, and then this will not be very reliable for the economical issue and for the Red Sea itself. And so this was also my question when I went a few times to the Dead Sea, so the Yam Melach, which is a really fascinating place, because you are really, if you go in it, you can basically not drown, because the salt is 10 times higher than the Mediterranean Sea or the Red Sea. So the density of it, it's so high. But I was still looking for life, and there is life in it, even it's so salty. So you have microbes and you have algae in it. There's even like a fountain which they found, and they found like a tunnel inside the Dead Sea. And my aim was to go, and I really wanted to dive in it. So I already found this guy in Jerusalem, and I got in contact, and we already set up the appointment for the dive. But then it was also like really hot at that time, and was like we went down to the Dead Sea, and it was, I think, over 50 degrees. And then to go and to dive in the Dead Sea, I had to take like, I don't know, 60 kilograms on extra weight on me. And for what? And then I decided, okay, it's not worth to do it, because what will I find is exactly this, salt crystals and parts of algae. But was also really fascinating on how these borders are unseen, and you can easily just like cross borders, which Misha also like made in his video. So where he stands between the borders. So it's a similar approach, actually. Yeah. So I don't know what else I can say. You can
Maybe I
ask.
can just directly ask you a question, because we already talked a little bit about the topic and about this ongoing project, which I think is very nice also for the ending part of the symposium, to have a project which is not yet finalized but already started at a time where agreements were already signed but then negotiated and not been done and so on. So there's a lot about efficiency today, I have the feeling, about speaking efficiently as a scientist, as an initiative, as an activist, but also as an artist. And I found it very interesting when we talked about the efficiency of working as an artist and finding these different ways of finding agencies. So the first, maybe it's interesting for the audience also to know how you see your entire artistic practice in kind of like making these encounters, for example, now with the Dead Sea, in reference to what you're working on all the other projects as well, how you see the connection between these one encounter and how it grows maybe also into a biographical kind of work somehow.
Yeah, I would say my work is not interrupted. It's just like starts in models and one gets on the other. And so I created in these years this kind of like a universe or a satellite. So it's automatically leaded me to this question on the Dead Sea and the economical crisis, because what I love to do is creating environments or exploring them. So this was a really fascinating topic. The Dead Sea was also kind of a challenge, to see the world full of salt and go diving there, which seems really impossible to do it. But it's not impossible. You just have to do it, no, with a lot of weight, so you can really drown. So, and Yeah, and then it leads me from one question to another question. And of course, we live now in a time where we are facing the fear of the Middle East. They are really into it because there is the fear of losing water. There is not enough water. Water becomes highly political, and water is a body of war and political issues. And this is also like what yeah, I'm interested in it, but from not a political sense of point of view. It's more like from a political, from a social cultural way to see it, and from an economical point of view. And then yeah, so even like Sweden has this kind of lack of water already. They don't know how to make the resources of water. They really have to rethink of yeah, can we even plant vegetables because it's so dry, or um, uh, what's the name, Las Vegas. Yes, Las Vegas. It's in the middle of the desert, and they don't have water, so they have really restrictions of how to use water and what to plant. No? And then this is, of course, I mean, the Dead Sea is gone and it will be vanished in maybe 10 or 15 years from now on, which is dramatic. But also the fear of like not having the resources to water and to grow the vegetables and to survive. This is the interests of these three countries. But in order to make peace, yeah, because we are talking about the peace canal, I think you have to go like way back and to go to the roots in order to make peace. I think it's not done by like trying to also to exploit another natural resource. I mean, I'm saying it now really like straight away, but this is somehow how I feel when I look at this topic.
I think it's also very interesting when you talk about the linguistic part of it. Peace Canal, we had a lot of different linguistic terms, like the green belt, for example, or the green line, or the Peace Canal now. What is interesting, when I researched a little bit, I found out that the first contract signed to map the line between Jordan, Palestine, and Israel, it was actually just made by green ink, and this is why the line was called Green Line. Which now, when we think about the whole ecology, or not economy, or the politics of using linguistic terms like green, economic, sustainable, these different like namings, linguistics, I see that or when we talked about it earlier, I had the feeling that there is also a little bit of a cynicism, or like taking it more humoristically, also to not give it too much meaning. Because how are we supposed to listen to other kind of hybrids or species, or listen to ourselves from within a little bit more in order to understand that we are nature ourselves? Is like, this is muddled with linguistics, and I think that you have a very nice approach, for example, with the work also here at the terrestrial assemblage. Maybe you can explain a little bit about the sculpture you made and how you came to it, and what it says about the linguistics of being a sculpture, being nature, being culture, being within this third landscape.
Yeah, nature. It's a big word. I mean, this is also not nature where we are, and but it's all like, yeah, made by humans, and also garden is not. It's, there are plants, but it's also like very it's like a heteropian part of a landscape, yeah, which is maybe also, yeah, like a third landscape. But to yeah, the water crab I made, it was made for collecting waste from the ocean. So I had this idea, like many years ago, but in order to make it, it took me a while. But then there was like the other great scientists who already made it and made it much more bigger and became very successful. So yeah, so it worked. And for me, it was more like also to then turn it around and to show how humans make their own like garbage waste, and then I made this cleaning crab who cleans the waste, but then also like loses it or throws it out again, and then starts again from anew. So it's this kind of Sisyphus work as well, but combining then with nature, or like with this hybrid, or making more Verwandtschaft in a sense of like of being more together with the mud, with the swamp, with the sky, or whatever. I mean, what is, well, what are we? I mean, we cannot also like take us above nature. We are part of it. So, yeah.
So in a way, it's like much more in a fluid hybrid kind of practice or way that you see how things get together. I think, yeah, still that it's very interesting when we think about science and arts and how we had a lot of different wordings today. We are satellites, we are carbon, water, we are minerals, but I think that the main difficult part that happened and still happens all the time by wording is just making a division between this kind of area of living and non-living material. Like when we think about stones or when we think about carbon itself, it's like we are very much based on this, and now maybe much more on plastics. I mean, I don't know how much microplastic we are already, and I think it's just intriguing and great that extremophiles are living in this very salty water in a way that, I mean, we come from microorganisms and we don't know very much about what they're doing with our bodies itself. So I think there is a huge potential in learning more and getting all these different perspectives together. I think that's what you do in your practice. And
Yes.
so I think that we are quite at the end of the symposium. It would be nice actually if you could bring them on one more time. Yeah. So in this context, I think I would like to invite one more time Ana Lenzo and Ricardo Avella, because when I talked with them about this idea of we are satellites or we are fluids or we are like how to interfere with nature in a way that we don't extract it anymore is kind of like maybe an identity thing. And we had this interesting chat about like that any kind of nation has a very precise identity, or identifies very much with the soil they're standing on, or the prosperous life this nation, for example, has come across, or I don't know, there's proudness about identification somehow. And I think there is something very nice what you said, Anna, earlier, that that every worldview is kind of deeply rooted in any kind of society, and that they become borders themselves. And these borders are kind of the borders that I would like to speak about with you, how to overcome them. And I think that, as you earlier said already, you don't like to answer any longer, but maybe to even raise more questions about it. And maybe you have some questions you would like to share on this notion.
Well, you hear me? It's fine, everything? Yeah. I think one aspect that maybe I don't say before about this idea that we are satellite, I have maybe some connection also with we are living, how we are living now, no? All this technology. That is also a kind of border, no? We cannot be, I cannot be there, no? In a way, it's a limitation. It's another form of experience, no? And as every limitation has some good things and some bad things. No, that's why I I start to take this idea, to take really the distance as a property, so to take attention. No, also the idea to be an immigrant or a person in outside, that is a form from border, no? To live outside Venezuela or outside your country is a very different point of view or very different experience. And of course, I always try to keep my connection with the persons, friends, family, and what has happened there. But I just think I need to be very conscious of that. Yeah, that's why I think I ending to work with fiction, because of course, I have some first opinions, and people that I really trust, and organization, but I think everything is very surreal and difficult to really know what has happened there. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know if I answered for your question. But yeah.
I think it's very
Maybe
much.
Ricardo, you can. Yeah. Rodrigo.
Well, yeah, I do think that worldviews are borders themselves that can be very difficult to get rid of in a way. And this is something not only we are living in Venezuela in relation to the Orinoco mining arc, it's something we are all living. No? We're living these problems every day, and especially this year with the pandemic, and Black Lives Matter. I mean, it's really interesting how for many people, confrontation with something that has been lived as a given or understood as a given since birth is it confronts you with yourself. And why am I
This
saying this? Because when I was
stubbornness.
doing my
You talk about this stubbornness also to be open, because
yeah
when
yeah
you say since childhood things don't change, but I think you're
exactly
right.
exactly. And it's interesting because while doing my research, I talked with a lot of people. It's very common to see the destruction of the Venezuelan Amazon as a cause that is being, let's say, the people that are against and very vocal about the destruction of what's being done in the Venezuelan Amazon are usually part of the opposition, because most of the destruction is being it's a direct or indirect result of actions by the government, by the official government. However, when you talk about a sustainable future with most Venezuelans, regardless if they're part of the opposition or part of the or pro-government, they really cannot see themselves in a future without resource extraction. It is as if being Venezuelan and living in Venezuela means extracting the resources from the subsoil, because we are the country with the largest oil reserves in the world, because we are the country with the second largest gold reserves in the world. So it's like, this is ours. We are entitled to exploit this, to develop our country, to bring people out of poverty. This is what we need to do. And when you talk about alternatives, maybe we can do it in another way. People really, it's very difficult for many people to think outside that box. So this is what I'm saying. No, it's like and this extractive worldview it's what I call a border also, in a way. It's inside our heads, but it's there. It's a border.
Yeah, thank you very much. I think that you brought it very well together. There were so many complex issues we are facing today. I can't round it up. It's been too many different challenges, too many different regions. I think very, very interesting initiatives how to change things. I like the openness of all the different speakers today and all the different approaches that they do, because I think from a local to a global perspective, all of us have one in common, that there is something about collective work and having this openness. While then again, we're facing, as soon as we're traveling, we are doing exactly the inverse way of being good for the economy, and so on and so on. It's like we need to stay with the trouble. I have no idea how to get away from not staying with it, but embracing these uncertainties, and have a look at how Shira also framed it before, a different timing or a different understanding of time, a different understanding of our feelings to how we are with the things and with material, with matter together. I would like to thank all of you. I don't know how many speakers are online still. I think that we're gonna call it a day. It's been a long day. And I want to thank again the artists in the show, Anna Lenzo, Marco Barotti, Ines Dujac, Duk Hee Jordan, Hans-Jörg Kuhn, Volke Köperling, Misha Leinkauf, Santiago Serra, Shira Waxman und Clemens Wilhelm. And I want to thank the curators, Pauline Dutrelin and Keumwa Kim, for bringing this event together. It's been an experience. It's been a crazy day. I'm mixed with a lot of different feelings, from sadness about gazing over borders and happiness about hoping for something else. And thanks again to the supporters of the event, the Berlin Senate for Culture in Europe, the Korean Cultural Center in Berlin, the Hans Seidel Foundation, the BUND, now I know it's not called Bund, BUND, for Environment and Nature Protection Germany, and the team of the Floating University. I wish you a beautiful evening.
Bye. Congratulations. Congrats.